Welcome to Practical Manifesting for Busy Women. This is a podcast designed for women who have a ton of balls in the air and spend a lot of time trying to not let any of them drop, yet at the same time want to be conscious creators of their lives rather than reactors to experiences. So I had a really treacherous thing happen to me this week. Someone I love, someone I've loved for a long time, someone who's been important throughout my life, has been accused of something pretty treacherous, and accused in a way that the whole world found out about it. Everyone knows and everyone is talking about it. And as a manifestor and somebody who has been studying A Course in Miracles for such a long time, I always find things like this so difficult because the one thing I know is I want to create a life filled with joy. I also know that people do stupid things. I know that there are bad people who do good things and good people who do bad things, and most of us are a smattering of both. Most of us are trying to escape judgment while we judge other people. I wanted to talk a little bit about judgment when it comes to manifesting, because A Course in Miracles says that judgment is something that creates so much pain in our lives, yet we cling to it. We cling to it. The majority of that book is about looking at other people and recognizing that we are one. And that is really where healing is. Healing is in the connection of ourselves, not the disconnection. So if someone does something that is really bad, we like to talk about it. Why? Because we can focus on what they're doing rather than focus on ourselves. We can say, look at that terrible person. But remember, according to the Course in Miracles, there's no world out there. We're all connected. The art of allowing means that in order to really manifest, you've got to focus on what you want rather than what they're doing. So this is tough stuff because we live in a conditional world. We live in a conditional world. And as manifestors, we're trying to unite and connect to ourselves and to each other. And according to A Course in Miracles, the only way out is forgiveness, right? Forgiveness is a way to look at another person and say, I recognize that your behavior is an outcome of a place in you and that needs healing. And I'm going to speak to the healing piece and let go of the behavior piece. Not only is there a place in you that needs healing, but you couldn't have come to me if there wasn't a place in me that needed healing also. There's such a fabulous line in A Course in Miracles that says, it is pointless to believe that controlling the outcome of a misthought could result in healing. Healing is, according to A Course in Miracles, healing is all about the way we think. Our world is a reflection of what we believe and what we think. And we enjoy our monsters, or we wouldn't have them, because our monsters are a way to look out into the world and project our own fear into the world and say, it's not us, it's them. And everyone gathers around the water cooler to talk about these people because chaos is much more interesting than peace. And because as long as we're looking at them, we don't have to look at ourselves. Now, don't get me wrong, the jury's still out on what this person did. We don't know the truth about what happened. All I've heard is this story. So when we hear a terrible thing that someone does, especially someone you love, this is someone you love. So then you think to yourself, what is the healing piece of this? If you want to be a conscious creator in your life, then A, you have to remember that we're all connected. And B, you have to remember that thoughts are creative. And if you spend a lot of time thinking about what someone else is doing and gossiping about what they're doing, that is what your energy field is calling forth. And what you'll get is more of that, more of gossip. And we have to remember the world is a projection of us. There is actually no world out there, right? So the world is a creation of us. When we're judging another person, it is actually more painful for us because what we're doing is we're projecting our own fear out into the world. And now it comes back to us because there's two really important things to understand. The first thing is thoughts increase when we share them, and you can only keep what you give away. These are two important things that the Course in Miracles teaches us about manifesting. Whatever we talk about increases in our lives. Whatever we think about and share our thinking increases in our lives. So when we're vocally judging other people, we're actually asking for our own feelings of judgment to be increased. We may not be asking for it, but that's what we're doing. We're expecting our own feelings of judgment to be increased. And so the question that you have to ask yourself is, do I want to be a conscious creator of love, or am I willing to engage in the water cooler discussion about what this person's doing? The second thing is that we can only keep what we give away. So when I'm giving away judgment, I'm asking to keep the feeling of being judged. And that is something that will always impede my ability to create what I want, because whatever is in my energy field is something I'm creating more of. And I want more peace, more love, more fun. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't bad people in this world, and I'm not speaking to what should or should not happen to this person at all. But I do know this. When someone does something that makes no sense, when someone does something that seems pretty heinous, wouldn't it be interesting if instead of saying what a terrible person that person is, we would say, wow, that person needs healing. That's really the truth. Because A Course in Miracles teaches that everything that we do is about love. It's about either an attempt to give love or to receive love or to experience love. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it looks like love, but no one does things that they don't think will make them feel better. And if someone feels like a certain behavior is going to make them feel better, and we as a society know that that behavior is really heinous, and that thing harms another person, we know that's not love, because love never harms another person. So if someone's doing something that they think is going to make them feel better and it harms somebody else, that means healing needs to occur. Instead of thinking of our criminals as people that need to be punished, we started thinking them as people that needed to be healed. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some people that strayed so far from light that they are darkness, and maybe in this go round of this lifetime, they're just not going to heal. But A Course in Miracles also teaches that the best thing that we could do for another person is to acknowledge the light within them, because we are light. That's why we say light workers. That's why we want to be conscious creators. Conscious creators stand in the light. If you really want to manifest something, you've got to stand in the light, because the light is where you're attracting from. And if you could remember that all our criminals we're still connected to, and if someone does something bad in this world, we're only as strong as our weakest link. We are connected. So you can call that woke mentality. And I'm not talking about what we should do with our criminals. And I'm not talking about punishment or any of those things in the world. I am saying, I know if I break the speed limit, the rule of the land is I'm going to get a ticket, right? So I know that there are certain rules that we live under. But if you want to be a conscious creator, it's about spreading love, because the power of this universe is love. The more you increase love within you, the more you create a world that you love. So when someone in your life does something that is heinous, your best bet is to remember that that person and you are connected. And in your willingness to see them as light, as a light being that has stepped into darkness, it's a very different experience. So you have to ask yourself, and the question that I constantly ask myself is, why do I need a monster? It is because we think it keeps us safe. We think if we talk about the monsters out there, it keeps us safe from ever being seen. It keeps us safe from ever being seen as the monsters. The darkness in the world is the darkness within. And so the more we can shine and shine light on everyone and see people as their best. Talking to parents and talking about how we can best parent our children, I always say the worst thing that we could do is worry about what our kids are going to get wrong. If we can hold space of light, seeing our kids succeeding in a way that makes them truly happy, not necessarily what we'd want for them, right? But in a way that makes them truly happy, what we're doing is creating light for them to step into. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to step into it, but I do know this. It's easier to do stuff on a sunny day than it is to do stuff in the rain, in the pouring rain. And so if you could think of your holding space of light for someone who has stepped into the darkness as creating a sunny day to make it easier for them to step into the light, that's a way to help and benefit the world. The other thing to remember is the more you're judging someone else, the more you're asking for pain for yourself. So a great tool to do is when someone does something that makes no sense to you, that you know is heinous in the eyes of the world, is you could say, that person must have been in a lot of pain. And in that pain, they saw this as something that would make them feel better. It is a thought that needs healing. All manifesting really is healing the thoughts that have created blocks to your light. And when you are standing in your light, which is really standing in love, you attract what you want. But if you're standing in judgment of somebody else, you've put a block up. And I'm not talking about behavior here. I'm really not. I'm not saying what should or should not happen. I do think that there are certain behaviors that should have certain outcomes. Just like your children know of consequences. There's consequences to behaviors. I'm not talking about behavior. Right now, what I'm talking about is what you want to create in your life. Do you want to be a conscious creator creating more joy in your life? Then the more you're focused on judgment, the more you're asking to feel judged, because all judgment comes from within. You cannot experience judgment, the judgment of someone else, if you're not judging yourself. And I say it all the time, because if someone told you that your particular shade of eyes, that particular shade of blue that your eyes are, is a really weird shade of blue, and you looked in the mirror and you're like, but my eyes are brown, you would think there was something wrong with the other person. You wouldn't be able to feel judged by them because you would think there was a problem within them. No one can judge you unless you hold within you a space of judgment for yourself. You just can't see it. You just can't feel it. And if you want to create a life that resonates with so much fun and so much joy, then we've got to stop focusing on our monsters and instead seeing them in light. While you say, I know on some level we're connected, and how we're connected is I'm going to see light shining in you, and I'm going to ask that the light within you start to shine by my willingness to know that you are a person who has strayed from light. That's it. And that the possibility of your stepping back into a light is just the same as mine. And I know in my own life, I've strayed from light from time to time. Maybe it looked different. Maybe I didn't get arrested, but I know I have. And in my willingness to still offer you a whole space for love for you, I am doing so much better for myself and the world than sitting in judgment and creating more of that. So that's my 2 cents. So if you want to create consciously and really step into the light, I am so excited to announce that I have finally completed my program. It's online. If you're interested in getting it, I haven't quite set up the website's not completely done, but the program is, so I can send it to you if you're interested. It's $27. It's called the 4 Steps to Miraculous Manifesting. And it is a program you could use today to take the 4 steps to become a miracle magnet. And if you're interested in this, just reach out to me. It's kim@kimmazzello.com. And next I'm creating the 7 Days to a New You, which will be done probably within 2 weeks. So I have all this stuff coming out. 7 Days to a New You is going to be a healing component if you find that you're blocked in your manifesting efforts. Regardless, remember that life is super short. So please be kind, have fun, and love everything. Thank you so much for listening.